All right, so we are on number 4, page 54, chapter 2, writing sample programs. Modify the convert.py program so that it computes and prints a table of Celsius temperatures and the Fahrenheit equivalents every 10 degrees from 0 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius. All right, so we're going to call this convert10.py. And does it 10 times from 10 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius. From 0 to 100. Computes and prints a table of Celsius temperatures and the Fahrenheit equivalents every 10 degrees from 0 to 100. Okay, so it does so. So you want to be really clear in these comments. All right, a total of 10 different times. Here's going to be our introduction. From 10 degrees Celsius. So I want to slowly read and reread the question because you want to see if it needs any user input. And this problem does not need any user input. Among other things, you might be looking at, it might be a very comprehensive question and nuanced. But this one, no user input. It's just printing a table of Celsius temperatures and the Fahrenheit equivalents every 10 degrees from 0 to 100. Okay. All right. And then we don't really need enjoy because I guess that's a little much. Enjoy usually, implies that the reader or the user is like doing something interactive, or that if it's like a movie, obviously it's going to be there's going to be the whole thing here. Enjoy it. Someone comes out and talks about the movie for 2 minutes, and then they go back, and then the curtains open, and then they're like enjoy, and then they go back, and then you see the whole movie. But I don't know. I just think it's a little much. So let's delete that. We'll print that. It will be an introduction. We could ask the user for an input here. Ask them to press enter. You could say press enter when you want to see the table. And again, this is more for practice also, in terms of programming and learning what things mean, and just practicing. So it wouldn't really make sense if I said this program converts Celsius temps to Fahrenheit temps, a total of 10 different times from 10 different. If you say that and then it shows the table, I don't know if that really works as an introduction. I think it would work better if I said in the introduction, like, if it didn't even say a sentence, it just said table, 10 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius table. And then it was like the title of the table, and then it showed the table. But, since we're in this mode, since question number 1 in these programming exercises starting on page 53 mentioned that a user-friendly program should print an introduction that tells the user what the program does. So maybe we would do something like this. Maybe we would print this out just for visibility's sake. I don't know, I might be doing a little bit much here, but I don't know, it's kind of fun too. All right, so this, I guess this kind of implies that, like, look, this is the beginning, this is our introduction, and then, then your professor, your teacher can see that this is sort of your style and your process. I don't know. I don't know. So so you could say, so then we can go print, so print a blank line, and then let's see, do you even need a space? I don't know. Let's try to delete it. Last time we had a little, you had a space, but now let's see without it. So when the person presses enter, so press enter when you want to see the table. And then, now how do we, so let's think. And we can look back in chapter 2. I mean, we did loops, you know, for loops. We wrote some basic programs, you know, assignment, etc., variable assignment, simultaneous assignment, etc. Have we learned, you know, about this? Well, let's see. We could say x equals. See, this doesn't handle any user errors, so you can really press any button. So x equals, so let's call it this, because we're going to want to take in some input. And remember, guys, this answer might be different 3 chapters from now, because I might learn a whole bunch, and you know, I get better at Python, and then you know, I would rewrite this program very differently. And there are a lot of ways to solve these. And I'm definitely trying to put together multiple multiple answers to these questions over time with regards to these videos. So yeah, let's just make this a variable as of right now. We'll make this a variable, say x equals print, or we'll just call this enter. Enter equals, you know, input print so this doesn't have any error handling, because you're going to punch in something and press enter. Essentially, that's really what it is. We're not going to do anything with it, so I don't know if this is even smart. But yeah, we'll try it out. Then if it just looks wonky, both from the code perspective and from the user, what the user sees perspective, then we'll just delete it. But yeah, so press enter when you want to see the table. But I try to get a little creative. I don't know. I try to push the envelope a little bit and have a little fun and try to show off a little. I think teachers respect that in a weird way. If you just show off a little, I don't know. I think it's also because we're getting into industry. I mean, this is truly an industry. You know, like this is very practical. What we're learning. It's not like we're learning, you know, some like algebra, where there's no reason to get cute. You know, because we're sort of getting into industry where we might have a lot of opportunities to try different routes than, you know, I think, you know, these CS professors understand and instructors understand, you know, when you're trying to have a little fun and get a little bit cute here once in a while to show off, or to show, you know, to also to make your stuff stand out a little bit, to make your program stand out just a little bit. Okay, so let's see. So let's do n in. So let's use the same. So 10, 20. So let's do 60 all the way to 100. So for n in, so now this is going to be, so now we're going to come up here. So we're going to go from 10 to 100. Let's see, R. Make sure we do this. A table of Celsius temperatures and Fahrenheit equivalents every 10 degrees. Okay, so we're going to go. So it's going to go. So we're gonna define. Let's define Fahrenheit inside our loop, inside our for loop. because we're gonna, if we try to define it outside of the for loop, like above here, we can't use n, you know. So let's do it inside the for loop. And it's also a little bit confusing. It'll be a little bit confusing because since it's defined outside of the for, we're not using it at all outside of the for loop. So my thought process would be to put it inside, to define it, to assign this inside the for loop. We're not going to use, and also we're using it as, because we're just using it with regards to this list 10 through 100. Okay, so Fahrenheit equals, but I don't know. I don't know if you know, the more books I read, this is, you know, pretty much the first computer science book that I'm going over and answering all the questions in, you know, from start to finish. And you know, so I'm not saying this is the gospel, but we're gonna go through it anyways because it's fun. And yeah, so this, instead of Celsius, obviously this is going to be, so let's just do Celsius. Let's call this Celsius, because we can call this anything we want. So for Celsius in, let me call that there. We don't need this. We don't need this. It makes sense too, right? If this was C, then we'd make this F, right? So this is Celsius, and we're going to make this Fahrenheit. If this was Celsius underscore temp, or temps, we're going to make this, you know, Fahrenheit temp, or Fahrenheit temps. I mean, you want to make it parallel just for the readability aspect. That's just what I'm thinking. So for Celsius in, so let's make this, let's see if we can print it out in list of numbers. So I want to iterate this and see if we can print it out in list of numbers, and then we can decide how we're going to lay it out as a list, or we can do it all in one shot. But sometimes I like to do the easier one, just to get an output that I like and that's accurate, and then jump to the stylistic move. So the temperature is, let's say this. So let's say the Celsius temperature is Celsius. We're gonna make this a string, right? Because it's an int as part of the, well, because these values are ints. So and the converted Fahrenheit temperature is Fahrenheit. Let's see how this goes. And we're going to use a plus and a period because the comma gives us a space. We don't want a comma, so we're going to put plus period. And then we don't need a space here because this is just all going to print out once. So it's going to be like, it's going to be 10 in a row, 10 sentences in a row. Let's see how it looks. If we're doing it, if I'm doing it right. Okay, so let's check this out. All right, so we'll go here. We're gonna go. Oh, excuse me. Go here. All right, so let's check this out. This is the last run. All right, so the last program. So we're gonna. This is convert to. All right. Looks good to me. Convert. Oh, we call this convert 10. And we could change it. Let's just call this convert to then. X this out and then open it again. We want it to match. It's just good practice. All right, so this is our new convert 2. Hopefully we turn in the other one. And we already got a grade and all that stuff. Okay. Convert 2. We would call it convert 10 or whatever, but we explain what it is. And okay, so I think it's, yeah, we'll see how it looks. Let's see what happens. All right, mistake. All right, let's check it out. Let's check out the trace back. Line 16. It must be a string, bytes, or code object. So let's see. Oh, it's the eval. So we're going to call this input. So we're going to call this input. That's what I think the problem was. Let's open it. Convert to. Module. Oh, no, no, no. Okay, so here we go. So line 16. It's supposed to be a string. Yeah. So we can't do this. I haven't learned enough for us to do this, to pull this off, for me to be able to pull this off. So let's just go here. It's fine. So we'll just delete that. But yeah, sometimes you try stuff and you think it might work, and then you're like, I'm not as smart as I thought I was. And then you just back up a little. And so okay, so let's go to Python convert to. But once I learn what the enter sign, is, I mean, I could look it up. We could look it up if we really wanted to right now. But I want to keep these videos at decent length, nothing too crazy. So okay, so here we go. Okay, so float and string. Okay, so we learned something. So the fact that oh yes, of course, because we didn't use eval. We didn't get these from eval. So this has to be str. That makes sense. It ain't eval. Eval is amazing. But this ain't it. Okay, so let's go back here. So now we're gonna open the new version. And I've been told many times, like, this is programming. Programming is like, if you're not okay with making mistakes, then this is not the route to go. You're gonna make a lot of mistakes. You're trying to solve these problems. Okay, cool. So let's. I started skipping lines, but I think it's because of the spacing. Yeah, so here we go. 10, 20, 30. Okay. And then obviously we would check via search engine and see if this is correct in terms of the Fahrenheit to Celsius to Fahrenheit conversion. Okay, looks pretty good. We've got all these right, 10 all the way to 100, skipping 10. Cool, so now let's see about, so now let's change it to stylistic. So now we're gonna print Celsius temp, and then I wonder if it'll let us. Let's try it. And it's going to add 2. I think it will, because I think I remember mentioning in one video where I had 3, and then it skipped 5. But since we had the commas, that's 1 and 2. So it fit. It was like there were 5 spaces. So let's do that. Let's do Celsius temp. And then Fahrenheit temp. We'll make that like that. And then we're going to print like this. So we'll just make it exact. And just line it up exact. This is the best way I know how to do right now. Hopefully you get a little better over time, but as of right now, this is the best I can do. Okay, so then we print this, and then so we're going to go to, now we're not going to worry about, so now we're going to print Celsius. I think we still would convert it to a string, because we're going to make them commas. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm not positive though. You know what? Let's see if we can do this. And that's the thing, is sometimes I forget stuff that I used to remember. And I don't know if this ever happens to you guys, but it just depends on what I got going on in my life. It depends on how busy I am, how much stress I have in other areas. It depends. It's just a lot of factors that go into play. So that's what makes me decide, like, let me just try this. So I'm just gonna put in Celsius and see if this comma works. Because this also gets this in my brain the more I practice it. So I'm gonna put this comma and see if we can use this and then this. So it's gonna be comma. And we're gonna do this. Go all the way across. We'll see how it looks. And we'll do string. And we'll, obviously, if we're not doing that, then we're not going to do that. Because the error is going to hit before we even get through to that. So we're not going to be able to test one and not the other and get through the program. It's just going to kick us out before we can even do it. So let's see if this works. I doubt it will, right? We're going to assume. See, that is going to work, but let's say if it does. And remember, you can look it up. You can check the different routes. This is the route that I remember. Because when I make mistakes, and I can walk through stuff, it really helps me remember. Even now. Okay, so let's try it. Oh, it worked. You see what I messed up on though? This is part of the loop, the Celsius temp. So I want to kick it out of the loop, right? And then I want to move these numbers in. Let's see how many exactly. I want to move them in like 1, 2, 3. I'll move them in 3. And this might not be perfect, but I'll move them in 3. So let's go here. 1, 2, 3. And then this is going to be outside the loop. So we're going to cut this because we want to print that once. Because we dumped that, enter, user typing enter. All right, so let's go here. Let's check this out. Remember, guys, I'm one of you. I'm not, this programming genius has been doing this for 20 years. So I think in some ways, hopefully, it's helpful. Because I'll make the same mistakes that you might make, and then I'll stumble through them sort of the same way you might do it, and then you'll see how I figure it out. All right. Bam! Nice. What do you guys think? Very nice. Now we can make it beautiful, right? So how do we make it beautiful? So that one thing here, you want to, so let's see, how would we do this? There's a couple ways to do it, right? You could just make that 100, just add a space, but remember that's part of the loop. But remember, it's the same number. From here to here is the same number as here to here. So for this to change numbers, let's figure out how many spaces this really is. Well, we have a little bit of help because we've got these stars that we did up here. Yeah, it's a little bit of help. So, and we learned some stuff early on that I think you might already know. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 1920, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 31. There's 31 spaces. So let's think. 31 spaces. So we're going to call this this times 31. That's what we're going to try and do. Let's see. I think that'll work. Because essentially, and it worked fine as far as like allowing us to use the commas. We can't concatenate with the pluses, but we can use the commas. I don't know if that's considered concatenating, but we can use the commas with this print statement. Let's see if this works. It'd be awesome if it did. All right, so let's go to File, Open. Check it out. Let's run it. Yeah, nice. Okay, so what happened here? So let me think. So we want it to be fewer. So I messed up. My logic was an error here because you don't want it to be the same number. You want it to be one less. So you want it to be one less because the 100 is going to be 3 digits. So as opposed to like spending a lot of time on this, we could leave this as it is. We can leave this as it is as of right now. But what I want to do over time is figuring out how to make it without using much code, without making it super, super tough, how to make it where the program knows that once it gets to triple digits, because we haven't learned that yet in this book, right? This is all about the Zelle book. So we haven't learned like if statements. Once we learn if statements, then I can say, like if Celsius, if for Celsius in blank, if the length of Celsius, if the length of each number is greater than or equal to or equals 3, then print this. If it's less than 3, print this. But we haven't learned that, so I think this is going to be sufficient for Professor Zelle, or for whatever instructor is teaching this class, or just for your own personal enrichment, on our on our tutorial videos. But yeah, so this is our program, and I think I would turn this in based on this. So Celsius, comma, go over here. So then, yeah, so it's going to be off by one little thing. I don't think it's a huge deal, just because we're so early. But we tried, and we're like, let's just skip it, go on. For right now, we haven't learned. I think we can do it in that regards. And then obviously once it gets to 1,000, that would be 4. So once the length of that number is 4, then you're gonna, or you would create a formula, depending on if it was 2, then this, if it was 3, then this, and then you create a formula and just do that on one line. So I don't know if I'm being super clear on that. I'm trying to be, but hopefully it'll get better. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. So what I want to do is I want to add a few lines. I think 3, and then I think and then converted Fahrenheit temp. This is fine. I think let's go here. Open it again. All right, convert to. Let's run it. Why is this? You guys see that? It looked very different. Let's save as, convert to.py, save, replace. It looked like one of our really old versions. All right, so let's go here. All right, so let's go to open. Okay, this looks right. Right, let's try it again. Better. What we gotta do? We gotta dump one more. Let's think if there's any way that's easy. The other way? Okay, let's just do it. Since I spent the time, let's just do it. The other thing we could do is we can go, you know, and then the last line we can say print Celsius 100, but it just doesn't look as good. It looks kind of sloppy. So I think that, and I think that most, educators would say the same thing, like figure it out in a loop or in a function, like figure it out in that regards. Like don't make it look so sloppy that you have one little exception that you're like writing all this code for 3 lines or 7 lines or 100 lines. I mean, this is all in one for loop, and we covered a lot of ground with this one for loop. So one little space, we don't want to add even another line or two. That it also makes it look separate. It makes it look sloppy. You want the reader to know what's going on here. If you say 10 through 90, and then you say 100, I guess I could put a comment and say, oh, this covers the spacing from 10 to 90, and then this covers the correct spacing for all the triple digit numbers, which we only have one here, 100. So because there's only one exception, I'm not going to mess with it. So yeah, then there's our function call. Okay. So it might seem a little sloppy, but this is really how I learn. And try and remember. So I would try and remember things and make those decisions, make those considerations. I think still think that's a decent program. And if anything, yeah, here we go. Yeah. So look, so if we go like this, it goes like that, but it's still cool because if we pull it all the way out, it goes all the way across to that period. And I think it's fine. I think, as a stylistic thing, I think if a student has this, not normally that bad. But it's really all about what the teacher is okay with and getting to know your educator and what really is they're big sticklers for, and they're gonna dock you points on, and then what isn't a big deal. You got to play the game. I mean, it's like it's life. You want to stand up for what you sort of believe in, but at the same time you're a student and you're trying to get through the class and to learn a bunch of stuff and hopefully to perform well. I mean, it is what it is. It's just how the world works. So, but yeah, hopefully this was helpful, and this was a fun problem. Thank you very much.